What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So we did get the NPD results for March last month, and that of course covers Animal Crossing's about first 2 weeks. It goes has a little bit of overlap into April, and turns out Animal Crossing very popular. We got some pretty crazy sales results for this, and even when compared, okay, get ready for this. When compared the Switch to its launch month for March, this past March was still better. It is insane to think about that, but we're gonna go over all of that here today. Also, we have to talk a bit about GameStop. They put out a new report on how they are dealing with the situation right now with the virus in the world, and surprised me a little bit because it does appear that they are going to be cutting executive salaries, and Capcom shows up with another sale where Resident Evil 4 finally gets back down to its normal price of $20. There's other sales in there too. We'll go over here. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here, hit that red subscribe button down below as we head towards 500,000 subscribers, looking to get there by the end of this year. So make sure you're subscribed down below. We're gonna start today with Final Fantasy 7 Remake because I was figuring it would do pretty well. Once again, overall sales for video games seem to be up over this past, I would say, 30 days or so, and seeing Final Fantasy 7 Remake fall right in there makes sense for sales to be up. And they went ahead and shared this tweet here saying, "We're proud to announce we shipped and digitally sold over 3.5 million copies of Final Fantasy 7 Remake in 3 days." So just in 3 days, that's very, very good considering God of War and Spider-Man were right around that on the PlayStation 4 as well. And consider Final Fantasy 7 Remake only launched on the PlayStation 4, whereas Final Fantasy 15 shipped more. I think that was closer to 5 million, but that also came out on the Xbox One as well, alongside of the PlayStation 4. So it didn't just have one system to sell to, but it does show Final Fantasy 7 still very, very popular, and that's exciting stuff going forward, as I'm sure it will give them more of a reason to continue pushing this franchise forward, as we know we're going to have, I would say, several more games in this franchise. And of course, this it was a little strange for them distributing this game. If you look online, it's sold out a lot of places. I think it was up to like $80 on Amazon or something crazy. Like, it was significantly more than it should be for the most part, like $20 to $30 more. And that just has to do with their distribution. It came out in Australia early. It was all over the place, but 3.5 million sold in the first 3 days, shipped and sold. It's pretty good, I would say. So looking forward to seeing more Final Fantasy VII over the next couple of years. Also, if you're someone who was looking to get the Animal Crossing Switch, the Switch bundle that came out, and it was like, now it's like $700 online, and you've been looking for a way to get one, maybe to replace the current one you have, or just to add to your collection. Well, if you're willing to turn your current Switch into an Animal Crossing Switch, you can do that now. Dbrand went ahead and announced these, and this is their Not Animal Crossing Skin Edition. It does have a couple of different decals in there you can use for your different Joy-Cons, whether it's like the Seafoam Green and the Sky Blue, and then, well, a suspiciously close to Tom Nook on that island. They do have like, kind of like, one of them has like kind of the Bane look to them, but I guess close enough so that you know who it is, but not that close for like a lawsuit. They have a really funny write-up for it and all of that. They also sent a few of those out here, and I checked them out, and they look pretty good in person, I'll admit. And I thought, after asking them, I thought it would be a really cool idea to do a giveaway for them. So over the next week or so, I'll figure out a time and we'll do a giveaway where one viewer will actually get a pair of Joy-Cons with the different skins on them, and then an additional skin for your dock. But pretty cool, and they are available now. Oh, and if you were someone who was looking to get one of those arcade one-up cabinets, I noticed that Walmart was like phasing them out, running a big clearance sale on them just to get rid of them, I guess, because they're currently 83% off at Walmarts that just have them in stock, which makes them like $50. So if you're looking at like the Street Fighter cabinet, we also have Mortal Kombat 2, Final Fight, any of those kinds of cabinets, like the older ones, kind of like the first run, I believe, those are just marked down like crazy. So for like $150, you can get all 3 of those cabinets. Comes down to availability in your area. So I would go on BrickSeek, punch in your zip code, and see if anyone around you has them, or I guess you could call ahead, although I'm not really sure how many Walmarts are like jumping to pick up their phones right now. But just a heads up, if you're out at Walmart grocery shopping, I guess stop by if you've been looking for one to see if they have them, and then do a price check on them, because they might come up 83% off. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with the NPD results for March. Now, of course, these are all of the over-the-counter sales and some digital depending on the company in the US. Each month we get these reports, and it tells us really how the video game world is doing when it comes to revenue and sales and how a particular franchise managed to do in the US. And we're going to start here with the top 10. And I already kind of mentioned that Animal Crossing did crazy numbers. Well, it managed to top the sales charts with just physical copies. As you can see, starting at number 1, Animal Crossing New Horizons. Below that, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. That does include digital sales for it, by the way. So most of these games also had digital sales involved, so keep that in mind. MLB The Show 20 was number 3. Then down from there, Resident Evil 3, NBA 2K20, Doom Eternal. That one's a little weird because it's Bethesda and their launcher and all this stuff. So I think it's like PC sales don't necessarily include here. Then we have Persona 5 Royal, Grand Theft Auto 5, Borderlands 3, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Also, by the way, missing its digital sales. Now, the overall dollar sales of the video game software actually went up 34% compared to last year's March. A lot of that, of course, has to do with people just being inside and trying to figure out something to do, so they turn to video games, and just overall sales everywhere are very high for video games, which is unfortunate because I'm sure publishers and developers are looking at this realizing there's not much they can do to really, I guess, just even move games up. A lot of games are just being delayed at this point. So, but if we look at Animal Crossing, it debuted really, really well. It actually became the best-selling Animal Crossing already, like straight up that fast. We're talking like everything, New Leaf, everything in the NPDs. This is the Animal Crossing that is now at the top for all of them, which is crazy. In fact, if you look at it compared to past Nintendo franchises for a month debut, it's just behind, and this is just physical, by the way. We don't know the digital sales for Animal Crossing yet. It's just behind Smash Bros. Ultimate and Smash Bros. Brawl. That's it for Nintendo. Like, Animal Crossing has already got to that point, and it is rolling along still. Now, as for the Switch, it was the number 1, even though if you go back to the PS4 and the Xbox One, they are also up double digits in terms of percentages, which is great from year to year, which again makes sense. People are looking for something to do. They go buy a game console, and then they hang out inside. This is the way it is right now. Everyone's just looking for something to do, even if it's just a Netflix machine for some people or a Blu-ray player. It's a way to keep themselves entertained. But the Switch did something pretty interesting. It actually outsold the March when it launched, this March, with Animal Crossing. That's crazy. I mean, that explains some of the shortages and the price gouging and all the stuff going on right now. The resellers having a field day. It's because the Switch really is selling that well. To when it comes in stock, it's gone. And it had a lot to do, of course, with Animal Crossing launching, and we'll find out solid numbers for Animal Crossing in roughly 2 or 2.5 weeks, I believe, when Nintendo drops their information in the first week of May. So we'll see how crazy that number really is. But the NPD also shared one other very interesting piece of information. So the first quarter, of course, January, February, and March, if we compare that to any other games, like Game System Completely, in the US for revenue gained in that quarter, we have to go all the way back to the DS in 2010. That is how big of a start to this year Nintendo has had with the Switch in the NPDs for the US. And a lot of that, yes, had to do with Animal Crossing. But it's crazy stuff right now with Nintendo, Animal Crossing, and the Switch. We'll just have to see what kind of sales they report, where we can get solid numbers and go from there. But it's really not crazy to think that Animal Crossing, it's like Nintendo's biggest franchise when it comes to sales. I mean, seriously, if Animal Crossing ends up passing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and it becomes bigger than Mario Kart, that is going to be really interesting to see Animal Crossing at the top for Nintendo becoming, I mean, its best-selling franchise? Who would have thought that, especially leading up to the game's launch? Oh, also real quick for Animal Crossing, because the sales are so high, I can pretty much guarantee that Nintendo will continue to support this with updates for quite some time. In fact, there's already an update for Animal Crossing. They actually tweeted this out here. It says, more good times await in Animal Crossing New Horizons, starting with the free April update landing on your island April 23rd. Check out new seasonal events like Nature Day, 2 new merchants, and the addition of an art gallery to the museum. So yeah, Animal Crossing rolling along, updates rolling along. There's a lot of stuff going on with Nintendo, Animal Crossing, and the Switch right now. Next up, let's talk about some eShop sales with Capcom now entering in themselves, and they've marked down quite a few things here. And look, Capcom is strange because like Resident Evil 4 is supposed to always be $20 for the most part, just outside of the Switch. But I guess they kind of marked it down now to $20 on the Switch. Sure, Capcom, why not? But if we look outside of some of the Resident Evils, there's some pretty good sales here. We'll jump over to the eShop here. Now you can see Dragon's Dogma is $15. That is I'd say pretty good deal for that. The one that I was looking at was Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy. I've never really gotten into Phoenix Wright, but seeing it there for $15, half off, I might make the jump there and see what that's all about. Okami HD is $10, which if you've never played Okami, I mean, come on, like just pick it up. It's completely worth it. Onimusha Warlords. Now that of course is a bit of a dated game, but it does at least look a little bit better on the Switch. If you've never played Onimusha, not a bad one to grab there. A ton of Resident Evil games are on sale with like Revelations 1 at $10, Revelations 2 at $10, and then you also see Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil at $15, and then they have Resident Evil 6, 5, and 4 all at $20 each, and it's just like, come on, Capcom, like, those, you should have just made those $10 a piece and just rolled them along. But I always say, go ahead and grab some collections if they're on sale. Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is a good one. Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, or even the first one at $10 each, also very, very good there. And even Mega Man 11 at $15 is not bad either. So, you know what, overall, not a bad sale here from Capcom. They did mark down quite a bit of stuff, but I have to say, Okami, like, come on. Okami HD, $10. It doesn't get much better than that. Awesome game, especially if you're looking for something to play. Otherwise, grab some collections and go back to some older games, because you get a lot of value out of the collections where they have a ton of games thrown in there for like $10. But hey, you know what, Capcom, other than leaving Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 at $20, looks pretty good. Next up, let's talk about GameStop, and something interesting is going on here. Now, we, of course, know that Reggie has officially started at GameStop, right? It was on the 20th of April, pretty much the beginning of this week, Reggie started, and looks like GameStop yesterday, later on in the day, put out an update as to what their plans are going forward here with the virus situation where some GameStops are closed, some have like curbside pickup. How are they going to get through this with, I don't want to say limited funds, because they do have a bit of a bankroll right now to keep themselves going, but what's their plan to kind of get through this? Well, they put out a fairly large press release, and I was a little surprised when I read the top of it. And that's mostly because it says a temporary base salary reduction of 50% for George Sherman, that's their CEO, 30% for Jim Bell, who's their CFO, and the remainder of the executive leadership team. The board of directors temporarily reduced cash compensation to directors by 50%. And then they go on to say that the companies begin process of reopening stores in Italy, Germany, Austria, and the states of South Carolina and Georgia, and is preparing for the potential to reopen in other operating countries and states in the coming weeks. Now, they go on a little further to just try to add confidence to the fact that they have some liquidity. They have, I think, over $700 million currently in cash, kind of just hanging out just in case kind of money. But for the most part, they are hurting, of course. That's why a lot of executives are seeing their pay cut. And I mean, that really is the best way to go about it is, yeah, the people at the top should probably take some pay cuts, considering the people at the bottom certainly are, even if they're staying home or they're just getting reduced hours. Yeah, they're feeling it. So the executives should probably feel it as well. It's just, I gotta be honest, I wasn't expecting that from GameStop. Now, they also mentioned that they didn't necessarily pay rent in some of their leases because of the situation, and they're gonna look to kind of restructure, defer payments, or just kind of work it out, essentially, with different landlords, which is what a lot of businesses are doing. Small businesses, I guess large businesses will as well if they have to with that many locations, but GameStop is just, I think they want to reopen within reason as soon as they can, but it's going to be interesting to see as certain states open and some stay closed, how all of this is going to work out for GameStop. But one thing's for sure, if they can open, they absolutely will, straight up, and if they can run curbside pickup, they will do that in other states as well, as they try to figure out how they can get the doors back open, get people in, and then of course make money. But we'll see how all this works out for GameStop now that Reggie is on board. And I have to say, this was it's a pretty conveniently timed press release. All of a sudden Reggie's there and executives are cutting their pay. I don't know, I feel like this would have been planned out before Reggie got there, but it is just interesting. The day after, like all this comes out. I don't know. It kind of struck me as, like I said, convenient. And in our last bit of news, let's talk a little bit about a delay. Now, we expect delays all over the place. We've already seen some big games, some smaller games, but here we go with another one, and you can see this tweet here with Kojima Productions saying, following the temporary closure of Kojima Productions, we have had to delay the PC launch of Death Stranding to July 14th, 2020 to allow more development time amidst the current work-from-home orders in place. Thank you all for your patience and continued support. So Death Stranding was supposed to hit PC in the first week of June, but they have to push it back roughly a month and a half, and this isn't surprising, even though the PC is mostly distributed digitally with some very rare cases of anything being put on like a DVD or a Blu-ray or like 8 DVDs to be put out there. Even though it's all digital, there's still a lot of prep time and things that have to be done to get it ready to go. And they say they've been closed, so even remote work is going to be, if they're not set up for it, a bit slower than being in the office around everyone kind of working. So yes, I said it before, you're going to see release dates being pushed, even if it's a month or two, just to make sure it is actually, ready to release to consumers. But Death Stranding is just the latest delay, and I'm telling you now, it won't be the last one. Then we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one is from T. Fernbatch saying, so basically, Nintendo doesn't need to release a 2D Mario ever again. You are underestimating Nintendo there. they released New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and then they released, of course, Mario Maker 2, but Super Mario U Deluxe was pretty close to Mario Maker 2 in terms of sales. They're right there with each other, so there are people who just see Mario Maker as like, you only build stuff. There's some people I bet that don't even realize that it has like an infinite number of levels you can just download and play. So as crazy as it sounds, I'm sure Nintendo could take 2D Mario, introduce a bunch of new mechanics, and release another one. Yeah, it could happen. I do look forward to the next Mario Maker because I think it will just be them doing 3D. Like, that'll be really cool, right? Where you do Mario 3D, you go between Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, all thrown into one, and then they just call it Super Mario Maker 3D. There you go. We did it. That would be really, really cool to see that. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's the NPD results with Animal Crossing. Does it surprise you a bit to see those sales? Because it doesn't to me, since everyone was playing that game and the Switch was going crazy off the shelves there. Also, what do you think about GameStop and what they're trying to do here? Cutting executive salaries seems awfully convenient, like I said before. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.